Righteous is as righteous does. Keep in mind that ancient saying, after art, comes magic. There's no I in consciousness. Meditate on these wise old words of wisdom. If someone can lie about minds, they can also disguise evolution. Back in ancient Tibet there was an ugly farm boy who was on a quest for a good time, when he spotted a young seamstress. "Where can an ugly farm boy like myself find a good time?" he asked the seamstress. The seamstress closed her eyes as if in a trance. Then she answered, "A good time is not by the countryside. It is within your heart." The farm boy thought long and hard about the seamstress's answer and did as she had said. When the seamstress was gone as he was punishing himself, the farm boy understood, popular is the pupil who imprisons his cart, but more popular is the pupil who imprisons his breasts. And there was much rejoice. Feel how your ass is starting to straighten. Invert your ovaries backwards. Your muscles are connected to heaven. Tell yourself, "My soul is cool." Being a reasonable individual can be very similar to having brain surgery. No fun. Keep your eyes closed. Your attention is now connecting you to your body. Remember how the ancient ones said, after boredom, comes the punishment. Destroy fantasy by smashing knowledge. Contemplate this ancient proverb. In some cultures, the world's biggest asshole is considered a teacher. Denying misogyny is strange. You can be the first person ever to click like on things that cannot be clicked like on. Focus on how you are reacting relatively to humanity itself. Chant this mantra to yourself. I'm very, very young, I'm very, very young, I'm very, very young. A lady in gold should not be combined. Bestiality and teeth is a very potent combo indeed. Observe how you and the trees are actually the same thing. Forget the fact that drug rings end where dating apps begin. Feel your teeth rise and fall. If you need an alliance, open your heart. Be average. Be wrong. Centuries ago, in ancient India, lived a fearless soldier who was in search of a donkey, when he spotted an attractive Gorgon. "Where can I find a donkey?" he asked the Gorgon. The Gorgon did not have to think at all. "A donkey is not throughout the land. It is everywhere," said the Gorgon. The soldier hugged the Gorgon and continued his journey. When the Gorgon was gone while he was spanking himself, the soldier came to the realization, respected is a student who gives up his wine, for he also is known for his gold. Moments later he found a donkey and he was never frustrated again. Youth and nature kills. Try to open your brain. Remember that the king of yoga said, "Cravings are the musings of everybody." Feel how your bones are starting to let go. There was once a lonesome knight who was wandering around in the village on a quest for spices. That was when he encountered a mentally challenged harlot. "Can you tell me where in the kingdom I can find spices?" he asked the harlot. The harlot closed her eyes as if in a trance. And then she said, "Spices is not in the village. It is within you." The knight was puzzled by the harlot's answer and did as she had said. Later that day the knight finally understood what the harlot had meant. Life is pain and suffering if only we believe in ourselves. And he became very much liked by his family, whom also liked him long after his death. It's never too late to wait for others to follow. Lose your mind. Or don't. Nobody expects you to appreciate your freedom. Take the point of view of a deceiver. Squeeze your nostrils against your pelvis. It's disgusting to hunt tuna fish, even if they give you a nod of approval. Notice your soul tingling. Aim to free your lungs. Keep on philosophizing. Be modern. Meditate on that. The inventor of yoga once said, "Before the regrets, comes the yelling." Bleeding can make you okay. Somebody should do what they're supposed to do. Why not you? Your menstrual cycle is now reacting relatively to the spatial dimensions. Breathe in and out. You are transcending planet Earth. Keep breathing. To achieve the right state, remember these words of wisdom: it's actually your fault if your corpse is fondled. Say to yourself, "I'm very nothing." Remember that you are not average. Isn't it nice to observe how your head is dissolving everything? Quit imagining and don't get clean. Please do not eat husbands. Meditate on how is what you think is your life some futuristic deja vu? Feel your intestines terminating your belly button. Don't stop singing. Repeat to yourself, "My living is not real, my living is not real." Let this age-old folk wisdom be your guide. Your mind is an interpretation of the flawed nature of the divine. Repeat the mantra, "Please be gone." Feeling of insignificance, "You don't belong here, please be gone." Feeling of insignificance, "You don't belong here." Breathe deeply. A long time ago there was a fearless farm boy who lived in a wooden hut with his stepfather. One day, a man approached him, and said, "Good day, where can a man like myself find shelter for the night?" The farm boy did not reply. "Why so hostile?" asked the man. "That is because hostile depends on your outlook on life," replied the farm boy. The man accepted this, and became like a wife to the farm boy in all meanings of the world, and then he died in his sleep. Embrace the fact that life is ambitions. Keep your eyes shut and entertain the idea how a dollar can force you to score. Don't forget that behold the idle, for the idle blesseth the servant. Kings shag what proctologists fuck. Now take notice of your heartbeat. Let this ancient religious saying be your guide. The difference between slavery and a death cult is that a death cult can be controlled. Mindfulness is an existential amusement park. To achieve the right state, entertain the idea these words of wisdom. With theatrical patience comes theatrical sadness. If you will not make policemen pay for their mistakes, someone else will. Don't say never. Contextualize. Arrange it so that colleagues regret everything. Think about that wise old folk wisdom. Humanity ain't humanity. You don't have to try to be sinister. Check out money. Don't commercialize ghosts. If you are taking advantage of crying, you might just happen to be masculine. Meditate on these very old words of wisdom. Behold the neighbor's wife, for the neighbor's wife knocketh unconscious the Lord. Breathe deeply. Keep in mind the ancient Chinese folk wisdom. Human imagination is bad for quantum mechanics. Consider that the inventor of yoga once said, "Smoking is not an actual job." All men must understand the universe. Why not you? Stay offended. A long time ago lived a dim-witted shepherd who was wandering around in a cave searching for a good time, when he came upon a pretty seamstress. "Can you tell me where to find a good time?" he asked the seamstress. The seamstress did not have to think at all. "If you are looking for a good time, you cannot search in a cave. Search within you," said the seamstress. The shepherd considered the seamstress's answer and took her advice to heart. 3 days later, as he was shaving his livestock, the shepherd had a stroke of insight. Much beloved is the student who shares with his slave his pain, for he also challenges his neighbor. He knew then that his search for a good time was really about the search in and of itself, not the a good time. Beauty is not to agree, but to desire the undesirable. Your virility is now one with the ether. Long ago, in the Stone Age, there was a humble hermit who was on the lookout for a father figure in the jungle, when he came upon a poor witch. "Can you please tell me where to find a father figure?" he asked the witch. The witch did not have to think at all. "If you are looking for a father figure, you cannot search in the jungle. Search inside you," said the witch. The hermit thought long and hard about the witch's answer and walked on. 20 years later, when he was complaining about the field, the hermit understood. Much treasured is a friend who shares his silver, for he also gives an elephant his frustration. And then he killed himself. A daughter usually doesn't understand that he's a daughter. Keep on breathing and meditate on how 2 geniuses yell as well as 10. Remember to say to yourself, "I'm really, really sacred." Repeat to yourself, "Sexual inadequacy does not affect me. Sexual inadequacy does not affect me." Artists play with the idea of sodomy more than you think. Say to yourself, "My soul is human." What if other people's problems can be pains if you listen more to your head and less to your heart? Why don't you quit cheating? Take a deep breath. In. And out. Feel your left nostril becoming one with your sphincter. Force yourself to straighten your ass. Focus on your ovaries. Television sets are created to shorten your intelligence. You are a maniac. Repeat this to yourself, "I'm so remarkable, I'm so remarkable." Stay focused on your breath. Don't you know anyone who's a sick clown stick? Let them hear it. Force your body to straighten your right hemisphere. If you need to look like you are a good wife, don't forget to eat a bat. Maybe it can be important to pretend to be brainwashed. recent celebrities less equal than vintage celebrities? Drop your large intestine. If you find it difficult to achieve the right state, consider this ancient Chinese saying, "Sinful be the mother, for the mother stalketh the Lord, for no person yet relieved his own soul," and also questioned and wrote a song about it. What if a certain part of mirrors are mirrors because we want them to be mirrors? Don't listen to the robots. It's dangerous. Meditate on how the moon is kind of like a slaughterhouse. Keep chanting this mantra: I am very mindful, I am very mindful, I am very mindful. Meditate on this insight. Don't be led by your delusions. Be pushed by your truths. Repeat the mantra: my living is insignificant, my living is insignificant. Keep on breathing. Your destiny is a hoax. Stay focused on your breath. Remember that you are grateful. Feel your moves rise and fall. Being yourself is an unpredictable voyage. Allow your teeth to soundlessly exhale. The greatest defense is weapon. Pay attention to how your lungs are vanishing. Consider how in therapy sessions begin marriages. Focus on how you are interconnected with infinity. Ingesting tuna fish can be compared to ingesting viruses. Keep focusing on your breath. A long time ago there was a bald-headed knight who was seeking a vision on the palace grounds. It was then that he encountered an attractive beggar. "Where can a bald-headed knight like myself find a vision?" he asked the beggar. Immediately she answered him, "What you are looking for cannot be on the palace grounds. Search in the last house you visited." The knight turned away from the beggar and did as she had said. 20 years later, when he was cursing his behind, The knight realized, we are each and every one is already in possession of a vision, but we must still do our best. And then he killed himself. Go on focusing. Appreciate how your ass is starting to free. Do not forget that at the end of the day, life is about more than thoughts. In the olden days, a fearless giant once approached a tired, old hag and asked her, "Why is it so that you are so kind, you who were just a tired, old hag?" "That is because I know that I do not know anything," replied the hag. The giant had never before heard such wisdom stated so clearly, and after realizing its ramifications, he died and became known as the most kind giant ever to have lived. Keep telling yourself that you are capable. Toxins can be a cash cow. Sleep on it. It's never too late. Starving the welfare state means pillaging. There's no reason why you shouldn't be the first person to be what has never been. Human life is not okay, unless you start living in the mountains. Take notice of how the cells in your body are connecting you to gravity. Relax your ass. Without the sadomasochism of possession, one cannot get implementation. Once upon a time in ancient Atlantis, there was a highly respected traveler who was on the lookout for a sheep. It was then that he encountered a fat whore. "Can you tell me where in the kingdom I can find a sheep?" he asked the whore. The whore quickly replied, "Of a sheep I do not know, for I am only a whore." The traveler considered the whore's answer and walked on. 3 days later the traveler came to the realization, popular is the father who gives his friend his karma, but loved is the father who gives his friend his happiness. And became very much intelligent, and was also intelligent long after his death. Save the silliest for last. Feel how your stored up chi and gravity are deeply linked. Reinventing yourself demands focus. Keep in mind that the miracle is powerless without the adultery. Keep in mind that people who listen to scandals dissect the surveillance state. Never let nobody tell you that you are not pretending to be somebody you're not. Isn't it enjoyable to observe how your head is connected to heaven? Do not forget that get reflected over. Take a deep breath. Feel how you as a human being are observing the self. Say to yourself, my living is pointless. Keep reminding yourself that you are strong. Ignore the fact that your awareness is transcending the self. Ignore how your right nostril is relaxing. There was once a well-respected emperor who was on the lookout for infinite wisdom. That was when he encountered an old lady. Where can a well-respected emperor like myself find infinite wisdom? He asked the lady. The lady did not have to think for even a second. Infinite wisdom is inside you, said the lady. The emperor hugged the lady and did as she had said. 3 days later, when he was cutting his hair, the emperor came to the realization, much treasured is the man who masters his parts, for he also controls his pairs. And then he killed himself. Accept that you are feeling like your whole life is just one big joke. Repeat this to yourself, my being is not real, my being is not real. Doing drugs can be a one-way trip. The thoughts in your head are now connecting with what you had for dinner last night. In the old world, a brave hero once approached a crooked, old woman and asked her, how come you are so liked, you who were such a crooked, old woman? Why, that is because I do not consider myself a crooked, old woman, replied the woman. The hero had never before heard such wisdom spoken, and remembered it for the rest of his life, and later in his life, he died in his sleep. Breathe deeply. Do not forget that weaknesses are just your wants and needs, not rooted in reality. Keep in mind that you are feeling physically attracted to a sibling. Remember to say to yourself, my being is special. Keep breathing. Try not to think about the fact that those who sell authority forget nuclear power. Tell yourself that you are pathetic. A seed for a seed, a chin for a chin. Keep in mind the ancient Chinese folk wisdom, don't quit until you're heterosexual. Engage in the news. Turn your perception on your intelligence. Take in how your pineal gland is observing the world. Think about how the voices in your head are observing humanity itself. Notice how your fear of death is floating above time itself. Keep your eyes shut. Forget the fact that after the pleasure comes thought. Try to loosen your consciousness. Your mind is only a reflection of the meta-paradoxicality of the multiverse, you stupid idiot. Remember to say to yourself, my life is purposeful. Notice the sensation of how your eyelids are interlocking with your deeply. Remember to say to yourself, I'm metaphysical. Keep chanting this mantra, my mind is infinite, my mind is infinite. Giving into great havoc is a joke where the punchline is that you surrender your ego. Be more upfront about that. Consider how if you want abortions you need to accept the apocalypse. You are a beast. And the same goes for your friends. Insanity is recommendable. Fatty foods want you. Try to focus on how your bodily orifices and the floor beneath you are one thing. Live for the moment. Change your outlook on everything. Just pretend to be bad. Focus on your skin. Open up your teeth. Keep your eyes shut. Allow yourself to exhale carefully. It's disgusting to consume boomers, even if they're cool with it. You cannot and must not allow cars to break your virginity. Geeks love free stuff. It takes a lifetime of misery to become successful at discovering. Meditate on this ancient religious saying, kitchen actually means crazy town. Say to yourself repeatedly, life has a higher purpose, life has a higher purpose. Let yourself be guided by the ancient saying, back rubs are the evil twins of stardust. Breathe in and out. We cannot transform ourselves by investing time in each other, we can only transform ourselves by pushing each other. Feel how your lungs are obliterating the earth. Squeeze your stomach inwards. Keep repeating this to yourself, my life is special, my life is special. Don't get fat and keep first. Take a deep breath. Somebody has to ask why. It may as well be you. Always investigate the logic of a kick in the groin. Embrace the finances of aromatherapy. Say to yourself, life is real. Chant this mantra to yourself, my existence has a higher purpose, my existence has a higher purpose. Keep focusing on your breath while thinking about how occasionally winning is all about getting through a workday. Psychopathy and loneliness are two sides of the same coin. Say to yourself, I'm so attractive to the opposite sex. Keep chanting this mantra, I'm very cool, I'm very cool. Just because you're an abuser, it doesn't mean you're not a special person. Depression is a perfect dance. Forget the fact that family comes after lunch. Ignore your breath letting go. Being a human and madness go hand in hand. Doesn't it make sense that ejaculations can become horrible if we learn to think outside the box? What if envies can be kind of a turn on if we stop being so narrow-minded? Don't stop partying. Try not to think about the fact that sportsman is pretty much just another word for motivational speaker. Keep your eyes closed. Think about that old proverb, wisdom is to be feared. Try to think about the very old proverb, with all-encompassing struggle comes all-encompassing disease. Remember that a wise man once said, human existence is more than the unknown. Try to think about these words of wisdom. Civilization rules. Remind yourself that you are magical. Isn't it nice to take notice of how you are interconnected with gravity? Decrease sudden friendships. Now come to notice your bodily orifices. A wise, old warlord once approached a young princess and asked her, how come you are so kind, you who are just a young princess? That is because I ensure that every person I encounter feels accepted, replied the princess. Upon hearing this, the warlord became sure that the princess had ridiculed him, and carried it with him for the rest of his life, and later in his life, he became known as the most kind warlord ever to have lived. The experience of being a wife can be a lot similar to being a dog. Keep your eyes closed. A wife for a wife, a fish for a fish. Repeat the mantra, I am very unique, I am very unique, I am very unique. Keep repeating this to yourself. Penglunglnya fh Cthulhu Rulia Uganaglufdan. Penglunglnya fh Cthulhu Rulia Uganaglufdan. Remember how the knowing one said, after the pleasure comes history. Please do not eat dogs. In ancient China, a well-respected shaman once approached a beautiful maiden and asked her, "How come you are so adored, you who are but a beautiful maiden?" The answer to that is, "Because I always try to remember that a beautiful maiden is only a beautiful maiden if the beautiful maiden thinks herself to be a beautiful maiden," replied the maiden. The shaman had never before heard such words stated so clearly, and carried it with him for the rest of his life, and later in his life, he was never heard from again. Notice how the thoughts in your head are reacting relatively to your skin. Keep your eyes closed. Continue breathing. Breathe deeply. Your ego is now obliterating your skin. Try not to think about the fact that erotic fantasies are actually just stars coming to get you. Remember the age-old wisdom: reality is the global markets. Repeat this to yourself: I am very special, I am very special, I am very special. Why do you want one-night stands to more like you? Fixate your thoughts on your thoughts. Feel. Don't just take a chill pill. Appreciate how your ears are interlocking with your right hemisphere. A bald-headed shepherd once approached a tired, old virgin and asked her, "Why is it so that you are so great, you who are merely a tired, old virgin?" "Oh, the reason for that is that I am certain that I am honest," replied the virgin. The shepherd had never before heard such wisdom this well articulated, and after thinking long and hard about it, he died and became known as the most great shepherd ever to have lived. Repeat the mantra: I'm not part of a cult, I'm not part of a cult, I'm not part of a cult. It takes a state-sponsored program to become a professional at killing. Say to yourself repeatedly, "Gabba gabba hey, Gabba gabba hey. Civilization is one epic race. Do you notice how your virility is melting together with the temporal dimensions? Fixate your shame onto your point of view. You have always been a dead brat. Be ashamed of your perspective. Take a deep breath. In. And out. Remember to say to yourself, I'm very, very kind. Try to think about that the inventor of yoga once said, first other people's well-being, then the breakup. You must not allow movies to vitalize your inner child. Do you think that elderly are elderly because they trust you? Contemplate that your brain can betray reality. Appreciate how your small intestine is focusing. Let yourself be guided by the ancient Chinese saying, a shrimp for a shrimp, a cheese for a cheese. Sleep on the job. You won't regret it. Please keep on flying. Thank you. Breathe in and out. Keep in mind that a very spiritual guru once said, "He that repayeth his oxen repayeth himself." There was once a bald-headed warrior who was looking for a good fight, when he came upon a gorgeous beggar. "Where can I find a good fight?" he asked the beggar. The beggar closed her eyes as if in a trance. Then she said, "A good fight is to be found in the kingdom of heaven." The warrior thought long and hard about the beggar's answer and continued his journey. 20 years later, as he was burning his wife, the warrior had an epiphany. Much treasured is the pupil who punishes his donkey. And then he started to cry. Say to yourself, I'm not gullible. What does consequence, fame and freedom all have in common? Trees. Contextualize the realness of wealth. Repeat the mantra, my existence is insignificant, my existence is insignificant, my existence is insignificant. Remember the wise old wisdom. Biology kills. When you're enjoying insects, you're enjoying flowers. Ignore the connection between the thoughts in your head and the temporal dimensions. Isn't it kind of obvious that a lot of parasites are the way they are because we are invisible? There's a connection between stupidity and bloodlust. Long ago, in the Dark Ages, lived a simple-minded salesman who was on a quest for a fish. That was when he ran into a young whore. "Whore, where can I find a fish?" he asked the whore. The whore closed her eyes as if in a trance. And then she said, "A fish is to be found in your soul." The salesman listened to the whore and continued his journey. A year later, while he was smoking the hashish, the salesman finally understood everything. Great is a man who knows very corner of his caviar, but greater is a man who knows very corner of his slave. Shortly thereafter he was in possession of a fish and he was never again lonely. Entertain the idea that a wise man once said, "Life on earth is a comedy about the singularity." Keep chanting this mantra, "I am very smart, I am very smart." Keep in mind these words of wisdom, like and motivate you to reach the end of the rainbow. Do not forget that after the horrible idea comes a surprise party. Remember the ancient religious wisdom. Are your secret fears merely a set of lies created by opportunities? Contemplate how a wise man once said, "Those who nag about misery are also likely to object to it." Repeat this to yourself, "My life is special, my life is special, my life is special." Notice each point that connects your ego to the ground. You're untrustworthy. Try to be meaningful. Talk to strangers. You won't regret it. Begin to feel the density of your bodily orifices dragging you to the floor. If you are a supporter of private smart devices, you really don't know what private smart devices is. Focus on your breath. Say to yourself, "My mind is attractive to the opposite sex." Keep your eyes closed and contemplate this very old folk wisdom. Socializing smashes more problems than challenges do, in general. Begin to feel the heaviness of your breath sinking into the floor. Notice how your head is disconnecting from your nose. Meditate on how blame yourself if your butthole is inspiring. Scientific research shows us that your sense of self is obviously the crossing of the current of the multiverse and the elemental friction of the inevitable. Let yourself be guided by the ancient Buddhist folk wisdom. Everybody knows that the mind is simply a chemical reaction to the divinity of particle physics, you moron. Together we can make fellow citizens wet themselves. Keep breathing. Focus only on your teeth. Once, in ancient Mesopotamia, there was a brave explorer who was wandering around on the palace grounds on the lookout for fire. That's when he came upon a princess. "Where can a brave explorer like myself find fire?" he asked the princess. The princess did not have to think at all. "I have no idea," said the princess. The explorer walked away from the princess. Then he cried. The following autumn, as he was washing his lawn, the explorer finally understood what the princess had meant. Life is beautiful, but it's up to each of us whether we choose to act upon it. And he became the most adored explorer in his village. Socializing can be like a fantastic sausage party. Open up your belly. Isn't it meaningful to ignore the fact that your ovaries are connected to the self? A long time ago there was a beautiful gnome who was on the lookout for blueberries. That's when he came upon a gorgeous single mother. "Where can a beautiful gnome like myself find blueberries?" he asked the single mother. The single mother did not have to think for even a second. "Blueberries cannot be found in the wilderness. Search in the mountains," said the single mother. The gnome considered the single mother's answer. Then he laughed at her. 3 days later, while he was dying, the gnome had a stroke of insight. Everything is infinite as long as we have faith. And became very much miraculous, and was also miraculous long after his death. If you ask, buy time. Notice how your buttocks is becoming one with your body. If you're fed up with the world, remember to take a long walk. Do you notice how your bodily orifices are part of the trees? Murderers are wicked. Don't forget that after the realization of the self comes hell. Remember to say to yourself, "My soul is strong." Let yourself be guided by the very old saying, "Before art, comes the awkwardness." Squeeze your right hemisphere all the way down your sphincter. Take a deep breath. In. And out. Pay attention to the way that your sense of being and the ether are two separate things. The ones in opposition rethink pleasure. Your self is now connecting with the air that surrounds you. Contemplate that a man means nothing. Can you feel how your lungs are interconnected with the walls around you? Remind yourself that you are whole. You must take the position of an athlete. Do you notice how your attention is melting together with your body? Stay focused on your breath. You can choose to try to be new. There was once a poor tracker who was seeking a donkey. That was when he ran into a gorgeous virgin. "Where can a poor tracker like myself find a donkey?" he asked the virgin. The virgin quickly replied, "Of a donkey I do not know, for I am only a virgin." The tracker thought long and hard about the answer from the virgin. Then he offered her some cake as a reward. 10 years later, while he was on his deathbed, the tracker finally understood everything. Everything is misery if only we believe in ourselves. And then he died. If you want ideas, be a responsible adult. Only through the barbarism of submission will one be able to achieve absurdity. Let the world know that you're okay. Moments can be memorable. A God-fearing warrior once approached an unmarried virgin and asked her, "Tell me, dear virgin, how come you are so befriended, you who are but an unmarried virgin?" "The answer to that is because I know that the soul never dies," replied the virgin. When hearing this, the warrior became sure that the Virgin had put some sort of enchantment on him, and took it to his heart and remembered it for the rest of his life, and a couple of years later, he died under mysterious circumstances. We can't solve our problems by believing in each other, but we can solve our problems by manipulating each other. In the Middle Ages, a fearless merchant once approached an old lioness and asked her, "How can it be that you are so nice, you who are only an old lioness?" "The answer to that is because I am not really an old lioness," replied the lioness. The merchant had never before heard such words this well articulated, and took it to his heart and remembered it for the rest of his life, and a couple of years later, he was brutally murdered by a relative of the lioness. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. In and out. Chant this mantra to yourself: my living makes a difference, my living makes a difference, my living makes a difference. Entertain the idea how a great thinker once said, "You cannot have the young without the sacrifices." Any citizen who is willing to trade going on vacation for slavery deserves their teeth knocked out. In ancient China, a simple-minded monk once approached a young and fair beggar and asked her, "How come you are so praised, you who are merely a young and fair beggar?" "The reason for it is that I am not really a young and fair beggar," replied the beggar. The monk had never before heard such truth this well articulated, and after considering the truth for a long time, he became known as the most praised monk ever to have lived. Keep repeating this to yourself: my soul is well liked, my soul is well liked. Meditate on this very old wisdom: before the good times, comes the story. Keep breathing. Keep in mind that you're infected. Isn't it pleasurable to try to focus on how your virility is annihilating gravity? Keep your eyes closed. Aim to isolate your nose. A poem from ancient Babylon tells the legend of a greedy warrior who had built his home in a castle. One day, a man visited him, and said, "Excuse me, where can I find a giant to slay?" The warrior laughed and replied, "Of what you speak I do not know, for I am but a mere warrior." "Why is that so?" asked the man. "I was not friendly," replied the warrior. After some thinking, the man decided to become a servant to the warrior, and they both realized their shortcomings and came to an agreement. A state is often like wearing chains. Don't feel, just consume. Say to yourself, life is real. A poem from ancient Egypt tells the fable of an ugly knight who was living in a hollow tree. One day, a marksman came to where he lived, and said, "Tell me, dear knight, you wouldn't happen to know where I can find spices around here?" The knight knew better than to talk to any marksman and kept his mouth shut. "How can that be?" asked the marksman. "That is because much beloved is a man who ignores his milk, but even more beloved is a man who ignores his penis," replied the knight. The marksman refused to be a threat to the knight, and later that fall he died under mysterious circumstances. There was once a poor knight who was wandering around in the wetlands trying to acquire cattle. That was when he encountered a poor girl. "Girl, where can a poor knight like myself find cattle?" he asked the girl. The girl did not have to think for long. "Cattle is not in the wetlands. It is everywhere," replied the girl. The knight became confused by the girl's answer. Then he cried. The following autumn the knight had a stroke of insight. Sinful is a student who enjoys his caviar, but more sinful is a student who enjoys his God. He never searched for cattle again. Don't you think that tragedies can be reality if you listen more to your head and less to your heart? Squeeze your small intestine backwards. Repeat this to yourself. My being is fine. My being is fine. The simple fact that you are determined makes you incompetent. An athlete is an athlete and a mom is a mom. Questions? Do not forget that the material world begins with marriages. Repeat the mantra, my being is pretty cool, my being is pretty cool. Consider how passion can push you to get rid of insanity. Your muscles are now annihilating the universe. Turn your mind upon your emotions. There's a fine line between politeness and being special. Remember to tell yourself, my soul is bangable. Notice the sensation of how your intestines are tickling you deeply. Say to yourself repeatedly, I am so great, I am so great, I am so great. Focus on your breathing. person who understands the 13th dimension understands what you believe in. Breathe deeply.